The playbook does not condone violence against creepy half-machine, half-living entities. Any portrayal you see within is purely fictional and should not be interpreted as sanctioning violence against General Grievous or any of his weirdos. Whether you're ready or not, General Skywalker's event is here. Each phase comes with its own little twist, but I wanted to highlight Phase 2 as an awesome example of what makes Galaxy of Heroes so fun to tinker with. This phase is actually super consistent and fair once you understand the mechanics and get your turn order built out properly. So without further ado, welcome to the strategy guide for Phase 2. There are several main questions that you need to answer in order to figure out the best way to build your team. What resources you already spent, what resources you hoarded, what you're willing to give up from that hoard to clear the event, and how much time and patience you have. Your answer to these questions will dictate how you'll need to approach these missions. For me going into this event, I had C-3PO and Shaak at gear 11, Padme and Ahsoka at gear 12 plus 4, and GK at gear 12 plus 5. I ended up pushing C-3PO to gear 12 for durability and give a relic to my Ahsoka, but I believe that these choices were ultimately unnecessary, and other people have shown photos proving this. The first phase is all about setup and control. These enemies aren't preloaded, so we can mod to beat their speeds and set up the best possible outcome for ourselves every single time. The magic number to get ahead of Magna Guard is 271. There are 2 or 3 main things that we need to do. Kill B2, set up our team to dispel the 2 Magna Guard taunts with counterattacks, and ensure that nobody dies to the droidicas. The last question is the first that we're going to tackle because it has the most impact on the first turn of these matches. There's a pretty big split in how this fight will go based on whether your GK is gear 12 or gear 13. My GK is gear 12 and I was not able to find a mod loadout for him where he was able to survive 2 droidica blasts in a row. I have seen plenty of gear 13 Kenobis do this, so this is the first major differences in approach. My solution to this was to stun droidica, and I found this to work extremely effectively. But it makes killing B2 harder, since you can't use Padme shielding to generate a lot of protection for courage. The next big consideration is whether or not you have Shaak HP unique Zeta. It isn't required by any means, but if you happen to have it already, it makes killing B2 much easier, since we can use GK's mass assist on him. The big thing here is Retribution. In our ideal runs, once we finish taking our turns, both of these Magna Guards will taunt, and all 3 of these characters will use AoE attacks. If we have Shaak HP unique Zeta, or we have GK use Retribution, all of these taunts will be dispelled immediately, giving us a lot more freedom on our next turns. Last is the question of doing enough damage to kill B2. Over the course of my stream, I ended up caving and spending some hoarded gear to get Ahsoka to gear 13 and Relic 3, but there were still successful runs that I had at gear 12. This was more of a change I made for consistency to prevent the stream from getting too repetitive, but willing players can just fish for runs with good crit RNG. Depending on what you do or don't have, you may end up needing to cave droidica or have GK use Retribution, which means that we need to get especially creative for maximizing every single turn we can to get enough courage. Mathematically speaking, the best way to go about this is to have C-3PO go first, giving Padme a stack of translation while aiming at B2 and giving everybody 10% protection up. This will enable Padme's kick to call everybody to assist, and when Shaak HP assists, she gives everybody offense up, which creates an additional 15% protection up, compliments of C-3PO. Be sure to mod your Padme to bring some solid potency, as it's going to be incredibly important here. If you've got the mods for it, the best theoretical next turn would be Ahsoka, but we want her running damage mods and her base speed is incredibly poor, so odds are pretty high that you're going to be running Shaak HP here. Go ahead and use your basic attack to spend your courage, then have Ahsoka finish off B2 with her special and her courage stacks. Depending on your gear and your mods, this very well may not always be a consistent kill. You may need to restart a few times to get enough crits to get the kill on B2. But this is the safest and most consistent way to start each run that I found. Go ahead and have GK give everybody Retribution and let the sparks fly. There will be some variance between each run based on what each Magna Guard does, but in the large majority of outcomes, you should see a board state pretty similar to this. One of the biggest things I like about this setup is that we actually don't head into the counterattack stage with tons of courage. If we did, we would have killed a Magna Guard, and it would have just respawned immediately anyway when the droidekas go. One thing I enjoy doing that I haven't seen other guys mention is giving Ahsoka stealth with Shaak T. This allows you to dispel or kill Magna Guards without fear of being counterattacked, which makes dealing with them so much more manageable. After we kill the first Magna Guard, go ahead and kill the droideka that we first stunned. It should always be the droideka that we stun because the other droideka has already used its nuke. If Kenobi avoids getting stunned by the second Magna Guard, you can actually kill both droidekas before Grievous even turns on. I was able to do this multiple times over the course of about 20 minutes of testing, and that makes this event so much easier, but I wouldn't call it necessary by any means. This event changes when Grievous activates. The biggest mechanic that you need to know is that you should expect a Grievous AoE attack every single time that you kill somebody. This means that when you're playing this event correctly, you should only be killing people with specific moves that leave everybody shielded. This list is primarily Ahsoka Special, Padme Basic, or an Ahsoka Assist when Padme uses her Heal Bomb. The biggest final trip mine to avoid is Grievous's marking mechanic. When he drops below 100% HP, you'll be forced to hit a side character until B1 heals him back up. This in itself isn't a disaster, but it's important that you time this well around when you know that you can have your shielding up. Force this too early, and you're probably looking at a restart. If you fail to do this, odds are extremely high that you'll lose a character that isn't shielded, especially at lower gear levels. If you're in the final stage, you can also safely kill a unit as long as Padme has successfully stunned Grievous, since he can't cleanse it. Beyond that, the rest of this encounter really comes down to C-3PO being incredible. Shaak T doesn't need to survive here, but the core minimum team to win is Padme, General Kenobi, and C-3PO. Be sure to use C-3PO Basic as much as possible here. General Kenobi Mass Assist and Padme Kick will both call him to basic attack, and every single time that 3PO uses his basic, he's going to reduce Padme's cooldowns to help her keep stunning Grievous. As long as we do this, it's a free win. So that's it really. I replayed this event a bunch this morning and had about a 50% win rate using this strategy. There's some small RNG on if Padme's stun gets resisted or if somebody gets an unlucky 2% dodge, but I'm pretty confident in saying that I think that this phase is one of my favorite events that CG has designed. Piecing through it and figuring everything out was challenging, but at the same time, now that we understand it, it's a really consistent and fair event to play through. And I keep on dipping in for another replay before I take these mods off, just because this team works so well that it's incredibly satisfying to play through. It's like the cellar door of SWDOH teams. It just has that feeling of being a super well-oiled machine, and everything lines up perfectly. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this can help you get to P4 sooner, which is definitely the twisted evil twin of this event. If you're watching this on the second time the event returns, I hope this video helped you get through this phase in a way more enjoyable method.